I want to share how I work with people, and I have deliberately gone and translated it from yogic, non-dual awakening language into biological, neurological, anatomical language with the support of Chat GPT. The frame that I work within is awakening and liberation. So when I'm working with a client, that's the broad frame within which we're working. And so if I was to use that language, what I say is that I support clients to meet whatever is present so that it can be devoured, digested, and dissolved in the fire of awareness. And by doing this, we can go to what yoga calls samskāras, right? Impressions that have been left in the system that often have emotion attached to them. And we can go to these samskāras and we can fully digest them and dissolve them and liberate the life force that's trapped in them back into the system and liberate the client from that conditioning. Right now, for a lot of people, that doesn't make any sense at all. So it's like, all right, what happens if I translate what I do into neurobiological anatomical language? So I've actually got notes. Normally when I speak on here, I just speak spontaneously, but I've got notes I want to refer to. So I'm going to start with the window of tolerance, because in the work that I do, we are not trying to regulate here with a client. Like, I am not trying to keep the client in a regulated space. I'm not trying to keep them within their window of tolerance. No, 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 no. In the work that I do, I take them way beyond that. We go into anxiety, we go into fear, we go into terror, and we alchemize it all. So I got really curious. I was like, well, how come I work like that? And how come I find it really effective? And what is this window of tolerance thing all about? So in most trauma therapy, you'll hear about the window of tolerance, right? So this was developed by Dr. Dan Siegel in the late 90s, a psychiatrist and founder of the Mindsight Institute. So the window of tolerance describes the range of arousal where the nervous system feels balanced, where we can think clearly, feel our emotions, and stay connected to ourselves and others. Inside the window, we're regulated. Outside the window, we swing into either hyper arousal, like the nervous system gets activated. We go to fight, flight, or freeze, we go into fight, flight, panic. That's hyper arousal. Or hypo arousal, which is like a collapse. It's numbness, it's shut down, it's freeze, it's collapse. So you either go to one side or the other, right? And so most trauma work, most psychotherapy, etc., focuses on helping people stay inside the window or gently expand it. But how I work is different. How I work is different. In my sessions, we deliberately blast through that window of tolerance, and yet we do it very safely. I have never had clients freak out. I've worked with thousands of people. And the reason is, this is critical to understand, is the depth of the work that I have done internally means that I have the capacity to meet and hold everything: terror, horror, all of the things. So that means that when I am working with a client, what happens there is that I am the regulated nervous system that the client can attune to. And this is what's absolutely critical, right? I hold the field. I'm grounded, I'm aware, I'm connected. So that means that because I am regulated, then the client can feel safe even as they go into a really intense emotional activation. And what this relies on is that no matter what the client is experiencing, I'm chill. Nothing phases me. The moment if I was to get phased, it would collapse and the client wouldn't be safe. So this is the critical piece and why I know I can do what I do, right? So it's not reckless. It's very, very deliberate. I'm like, I got you. Let's go. Where do you want to go? That terror, that unresolved terror in your system from childhood, let's do it, right? And so we go to these places that the psyche has locked away, right? Samskaras, undigested imprints of experience. We deliberately go there, right? Remember that everything is stored in the body keeps the score. So in my work, we choose to go and deliberately go in. Okay, so what makes this possible is the biology of co-regulation. Again, because I'm completely 100% regulated. Okay, so this and connecting with the client. So this is according to Dr. Stephen Porges and Polyvagal Theory. Our nervous systems constantly scan for cues of safety or danger, and this is called neuroception. So my eyes, my voice, my breath, the tone that I use, the encouragement or the excitement. When someone's starting to drop into terror, I'm like, yay, terror, right? This all signals safety through the ventral vagal system, which is part of the parasympathetic nervous system linked to connection. So even when the client is going into activation or collapse, hyper or hypoarousal, my calm state communicates, you're safe. And it even communicates, yay, this is awesome. You're meeting the hard stuff, right? And so their nervous system is in training to mine, and that's co-regulation in action. And so this is how my clients, students can go immerse into deep terror or grief, and they still feel held because their body senses the connection, the co-regulation, even inside the activation. And this is an absolutely critical point. Like, we are meant to heal. This is all relational stuff. We need to be in relationship to fully feel and heal all the things. All right, so here's what's happening in the brain and the body. When we go into an unresolved experience, the brain reactivates the old network, right? And this is some research from ChatGPT. So this all piece ChatGPT is sharing with me, because I understand what's happening from the yogic perspective, but not necessarily have been able to translate it into the biological. So the amygdala, the hippocampus, and the periaqueductal gray all light up. Basically, the body runs the old survival program. And I see this. It's like, we're back in the past, right? Normally, as humans, we would disassociate or shut it down. But in the held field of safety, dual awareness becomes possible. And I don't know, like, yeah. So when I say dual awareness, what I mean is that we're able to stay aware of what's unfolding. And this is a key teaching in Non-Dual Tantra. We are the sky awareness within which all phenomena arises and subsides. The clouds come and go, the storms come and go, the rain, the light, everything comes and goes. But what we are is awareness, the sky that is untouched by it, right? So when the client is going into this place, they will say we're going back to an unresolved sexual assault trauma, right? Happens quite common with clients that I work with. We go back into it, and their body is like when they drop into the memory, and the instruction is allow yourself to move back in time and drop in as if it's happening right now. I'm literally telling them, go to it and feel it as if it's happening right now. Because when it was originally happening, their system would have wanted to protect them and would have shut it down so they weren't sensing, feeling it in it, but it's still stored in the body. And so in order for us to devour, digest, and dissolve it, to alchemize it, we need to go back in and fully feel it, right? And so that's the invitation, is let's go feel the funk out of this. Let's digest it, right? And so even though they're in it and they're feeling the body itself, right, the nervous system, the brain, the amygdala, all of this stuff is happening that is danger, 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 because I'm holding them in the co-regulation and the safety, the prefrontal cortex and insula stay online, bringing awareness to sensation. This is the critical piece. And the client, the student themselves, because I'm asking them, what do you notice? So when we're, all I'm saying is, what is present? What do you notice? How does that make you feel? What do you notice? And that instruction is supporting them to constantly reorientate to being aware of, be the blue sky, what's arising, the storm. So they're not identified in the storm, right? They're aware of it. And that's what I am doing. And they're co-regulating to me. So it's just supporting them to be able to do that with far more ease. For most people, if they tried to do this by themselves, they wouldn't be able to maintain awareness of. They would get identified in, and then they'd be overwhelmed, and then they'd freak out, and it wouldn't, what's arising wouldn't be able to digest. So this is where the alchemy happens. And the nervous system learns a new truth. I can feel this. I am capable of feeling this and surviving. I have the capacity to feel this. And then we start to move into, once we've gone all the way in, right, we're fully feeling the thing, right, the body literally relives what it couldn't complete back there. So there's a couple of things that happen when we hit the intensity at the bottom. One, they'll fully feel the emotion, right, all the way through. But two, just as important, is that there'll be a discharge in the nervous system, and it'll either be fight, flee, freeze, right? The nervous system itself will complete, and this is what Dr. Peter Levine calls completing the defensive response. The nervous system will complete that, because I'm asking the client, what is it that you notice? What do you notice? And they will indicate. There'll be either tremors might come through, sometimes a bit of shaking, sometimes there's tears, sometimes there's yawns, sometimes there's burps, there's cough, there's all different kinds of indications that there has been a completion of the nervous system cycle, right? And as that happens, this piece is according to ChatGPT, the midbrain motor circuits and autonomic system release energy that's been trapped for years. And often this will be indicated to me because the client there'll be the nervous system discharge, and then it'll be like, whoa, everything is tingling. I feel so alive. I feel, and there's a direct felt sense of the trapped life force that's now flooding back into the system, right? The HPA axis calms down, stress hormones drop, and the body resets. And the teaching in classical Tantra, traditional Tantra here, is that samskāras trap some of our Shakti, some of our life force in them. So when we've got lots of unresolved emotional experiences and impressions, a lot of our life force is locked away. When we go in and devour, digest, and dissolve, meet fully that samskara, the trapped life force gets released back into the energy body, and the energy body becomes stronger again, right? So the tantric teachings map pretty directly to what is happening on the anatomical level, right? So once all that has happened, then we start to, so it's kind of like, I talk about a U-turn here. So we go down through the challenging, painful, difficult emotions, and then there's a nervous system discharge. Sometimes people will go through the void, they'll go through emptiness, nothingness, and then they'll start to come up. And now they're in, oh, I feel calm, or I feel lighter, I feel spacious. And as they come up the other side, depending on what it is that they've just worked through, right? If it was related to fear, then often they'll be like, oh my God, I feel safe. I feel at home. I'm in my body in a way I've never felt before. Sometimes it's related to, often if it's related to sexual trauma, what they'll feel is joy. They're able to feel joy or playfulness. If it's related to shame, then often coming up the other side, what I call coming into resource states, being able to access these resource states again, they'll start to feel powerful, they'll start to feel power, right? So it's a good indication that, oh, we've now devoured, digested, dissolved, alchemized. We've alchemized the past that was trapped in your system, and now you've got more life force and you're able to access safety, joy, playfulness, power. And so it's like the nervous system, like it begins to reorganize itself. So yeah, in tantric language, this is the dissolution, the dissolving of samskara. The unfelt experience is fully digested by the fire of awareness, right? Emotion that was frozen, trapped, transformed, transmuted. And the energy that was locked away as a result of that separation begins to flow again. And so this is emotional alchemy. This is the devour, digest, dissolve process. Okay, so what I've learned from all of this is that I often speak in spiritual language, which people don't necessarily understand, but if I break it down into the anatomical language, what's happening maps against all of the different understandings of trauma and the nervous system, et cetera, and the way that the brain works. I just understand it from the perspective of awareness. It's very simple. From my perspective, it's like, know yourself as awareness, that which we are, and then allow yourself to fully meet whatever arises. And literally that's it. That's all that's required. And that's what I support clients to do. So this isn't about like the window of tolerance. The piece I want to is that often people are like, oh, I've got to stay inside the window of tolerance. I've got to stay inside the window of tolerance. Don't go outside the window of tolerance. And, I've been in group spaces where they've shared the window of tolerance and like, let us know if you're starting to move outside the window of tolerance. And no, regulation is not the goal here. We're not trying to keep ourselves safe. We're not trying to stay regulated, not with the work that I do. It's like, no, we want to be able to increase our capacity, become awareness, because awareness contains it all. Awareness contains terror. Awareness contains horror. It contains grief. It contains fear. It contains anxiety, shame, guilt, all the things, right? So when we begin to know ourselves as awareness, we can fully feel whatever emotion arises without the nervous system actually being impacted, believe it or not. But initially, you want to work with someone like myself who you can co-regulate with to feel the really challenging emotions. So in that instance, you can go way beyond your window of tolerance because you are safely being held by myself or by a facilitator that has the capacity to meet anything and everything because they've done their own work. That's the critical thing. This is not an intellectual thing that you learn a technique. This is about basically being able to alchemize one's own field so there is as much clearness as possible so that the orientation to awareness is as clear and powerful as possible, which then supports the other person to be able to devour, digest, dissolve, and alchemize whatever they're ready to meet, right? Whatever they choose to meet. So this is the art and science of going beyond the window of tolerance. And it's where neuroscience, embodiment, and awakening meet. This is the process of awakening and liberation, right? It's a process of awakening and liberation. And I've been living this now for 25 years. I've been working with people for 10 years. I absolutely adore this work, watching humans liberate. Oh, yeah. Ah. So there you go. That's what I do. And if you have any questions about it, reach out, and just sending you all so many blessings, so many blessings, so many blessings.